And so there's just a lot of material to make fun of him now that he's proven to be an actual meme. Although back when he was on SNL, I think he was still more loved in the lib category. He hadn't like completely crossed over yet, even before he did like his conservative announcement. So it's just interesting to see the arc. You're offering to pay 10 grand for a car that's worth 5 grand. You bring 10 grand and a sledgehammer and you just destroy it. Just
in The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob steps on a bunch of rakes? That's what Elon's handling of Twitter has been like so far, except that he deliberately stepped on all of the rakes because he thought he'd be smart enough to not get hit by them. Starting around January, Elon Musk starts buying Twitter stock, lots of it. He looks at this enormous, failing company, which in the past 10 years has only posted an annual profit twice, and by March, became the single largest shareholder. On April 4th, Musk discloses his stake in the company, and Twitter's stock price jumps by 27% as a result. And we can use this as a gauge of the strength of his reputation at this point. Merely by being involved in Twitter, Twitter is perceived by the financial class as far more valuable. On April 5th, Twitter announces Musk will join its board of directors.
Like, his
internally,
reputation
employees are
was still
freaking
so
out
good
that
at
Musk
that
might come
point.
along and fuck up the whole company. We in the biz call that foreshadowing. Many are wondering if this is even real or just memes, which is not a typical thing to worry about in a multi-billion-dollar corporate buyout. The New York Times reports, Twitter has always suffered more than its fair share of dysfunction, said Jason Goldman, who was on Twitter's founding team and served on its board of directors in the past. But at least we weren't being actively trolled by prospective board members using the product we created. On April 10th, Twitter announced, actually, never mind. Forget all of that. Elon Musk is not going to join the board of directors. Turns out,
yeah, that's the freaking irony of all this, man. Like, he's sitting there breaking this thing, buying it at the same time. Like, he did the classic you break it, you buy it thing, but he's sitting there, like, wrecking it and demeaning the workers and fighting with the workers, all on the platform that they created and that he's now purchasing. Like, it's just nuts. Browsing Twitch earlier. What's up, Diggy Nicky? Browsing Twitch earlier, I saw someone claim 200 Trump-backed people won. Some are apparently just in denial that the midterms were a failure for them. I think that might be technically true, actually. There was Trump-backed candidates that won, but they were in all safe places. They weren't competitive places. So the races that mattered were the ones that were close races, ones that could actually change the makeup of Congress. So like a lot of candidates that he backed won, but it's just the majority of those were safe candidates. It's denial, but he could also be right about the numbers at the same time. If they're trying to throw that number out there like, oh yeah, the media is just hiding the fact that he won, blah, blah. No. He knows he took a fat L. The conservatives all over conservative media know they took L's. Yep, they're just being dum-dums and they're just busting out the copium. They probably watch movies like, what was it, 2000 Mules or whatever, and that makes sense to them.
he didn't want to. So just within 5 days, he had reversed course on the thing he spent several $billion to do. To explain his reasoning, Musk tweeted a meme that he was going goblin mode epic. This tweet has since been deleted. This will become a pattern moving forward. Elon desperately wants the approval of Twitter shitposters, so he throws together like 2005-ass impact font memes, and he's just so XD random. And sometimes he just steals someone else's meme and crops out their username so they don't get any credit. It does seem like a great deal of his motivation stems from wanting to impress.
God, his shit is so petty. They're not even good memes, and he's like can't give credit. He's even surprised me with like how stupid he is. I don't know if he tested the Neuralink on himself and it fried some of his cybernetic circuits.
People on Twitter, which is quite literally the most pathetic motivation a human being can have. On April 14th, Musk offers to buy Twitter for $43 billion, roughly 4 times the projected annual cost to end global hunger by 2030, according to a 2016 report from the International Institute for Sustainable Development. Musk's stated reasoning for buying the website are twofold. Firstly, he claims to want to protect free speech on the platform. He claims that he is a free speech absolutist, and as we will see, No, he's not. For example, later when he purchases Twitter, he will routinely fire anyone who criticizes him or just, you know, anyone he feels like. So his real
Thanks.
issue is what he claims is a left-wing bias in Twitter moderation, which is, horseshit. Secondly, he claims to want to remove the bots and spam accounts from the website. And I don't know why that would matter to him or anyone, but it does, it seems. All websites have spam and bots, but Elon is very upset that Twitter has them for some specific reason. That same day, fellow parasite Jeff Bezos suggested that
Yeah,
Elon convert a portion of Twitter's San Francisco HQ.
I love how like bots were just sort of a known thing that everyone has to deal with on the internet, and then all of a sudden it was the biggest problem in the world that Elon was now solving. He has an uncanny knack for creating problems and then solving them.
into a homeless shelter. Elon tweeted a poll on Twitter asking his followers whether he should just make this whole thing a homeless shelter because no one goes into the office anyway. Musk insisted he was being completely serious, and the tweet has since been deleted. In case you're tempted to think for even a second that Musk gives even a single solitary shit about the unhoused, it seems this particular idea is motivated more by spite. As we will see, Elon seems to have a particular dislike for Twitter's work-from-home policy, instated during the beginning of the enormous plague currently killing millions of people he has routinely downplayed and tweeted misinformation about. Which shouldn't be surprising, given that he vigorously campaigned to have a Tesla factory reopened before it was legal for them to do so in Alameda County. Predictably, this resulted in hundreds of cases of COVID-19 being reported at that plant. And he just fucking hates work-from-home policies in general. I'm not really sure why. I think just because it provides any sort of comfort to workers. On April 15th, Twitter instituted a poison pill provision that would be triggered if any shareholder holds 15% or more of the shares. From what I understand, which is not a lot, that's business boy talk designed to make Elon put up or shut up. On April 25th, Twitter accepts Elon's bid, which is of course provisional on the basis that he can actually raise the funds to do it. Also, in the event that for whatever reason either party fails to complete the deal, a $1 billion cancellation fee is owed to the other party, which would become relevant later if, say, one party tried to back out on really spurious grounds. We in the biz call that foreshadowing. Over the next few days, Musk sells $8.5 billion of Tesla stock. Over the next few weeks, he acquires $46 billion in commitments from random crypto guys and hedge funds or whatever. And he does so by claiming he'll quintuple Twitter's revenue by 2028, using such cutting-edge business strategies as somehow getting 69 million people epic to subscribe to Twitter Blue by 2025 at a price point of $3 a month. Twitter Blue is a service that at the time allowed you to not get ads on Twitter and threw in some subscriptions to newspapers and shit. He gets rid of both of those features when he takes over. He also claims to want to reduce Twitter's reliance on advertising. And as the story develops, we'll check back in on how these goals are progressing. On May 13th, Musk tweets that his purchase of Twitter is on hold, pending an investigation into the amount of bots and fake accounts on the site, which Twitter estimated at less than 5%. Now, this is strange for two reasons. Firstly, one of Elon Musk's stated motivations for buying the site in the first place was to get rid of the bots and spam accounts, so it does seem like if there's more of them than he thought, that would be all the more reason for him to buy it. And secondly, Twitter didn't hide the information from him at all, if indeed he had not known about it.
Yeah, nothing this guy said ever made sense at any point. He was just already trying to back out of the deal, so he brought up the bots thing as if it's even a serious issue. Like what was it? He said his goal was to get rid of them. And now he's mad that they didn't get rid of him before he bought it. It's like either way you try to frame it or look at it, this dude's full of shit. There's no way of framing this where Elon is smart or genius. He's just an idiot. Yeah, I don't get it with Elon because he really had his legacy already cemented and he could have just shut the hell up. I think he has some sort of narcissistic need to be in the public and sort of actively pulling I mean, there's just no healthy version of reality where he could be in the public eye this much and it looked good for him. So there's just he is cementing his legacy as an idiot, but that's new. Like this dude was saying, that Twitter stock jumped up 27% just from finding out that he was a majority stakeholder. So not that long ago, his reputation was extremely good still.
about this calculation or truly had not believed it, the time to work out that understanding would have been before agreeing to buy it. 2 hours later, he reaffirmed his commitment to the acquisition in a follow-up tweet. On May 16th, Twitter CEO detailed a long thread about Twitter's methodology with regards to spam and bot accounts, to which Musk responded with an epic poop emoji. On May 17th, Musk claims that Twitter most likely has at least 20% or more fake or spam accounts, which is pretty big if true. I mean, that's 4 times the amount that Twitter claims. Elon arrived at this figure and a number of other more outlandish figures depending on who he's talking to, using a tool called Botometer, a free public tool developed at Indiana University, which essentially plugs into Twitter's public API of available tweets and attempts to determine how likely each account tweeting is to be a bot on a scale of 1 to 5. According to one of Botometer's devs, the tool does not show whether an account is fake or spam, nor does it attempt to make any other judgment about the account's intent. Instead, it shows how likely an account is to be automated or managed using software, using various considerations such as the time of day it tweets or whether it's self-declared to be a bot. Twitter responded that it would actually be impossible to calculate the amount of bots using this methodology and without sufficient access to private Twitter data.
So it's
Botometer, for example, can only assess accounts that
extremely
tweet
rough
and not
estimate.
accounts which don't actively post anything. And also, that Botometer had earlier that year designated Musk himself to be likely a bot. It doesn't anymore, it's worth pointing out, but they say it did at one point. Essentially, Elon is basing his attempt to back out of a $43 billion business deal, contesting the internal findings of the company that he is attempting to buy based on an estimate
Oh
from a free
yeah,
tool he
Diggy,
found
I'll be
online
honest, I
and did
was
not consult
probably
with anyone involved in the making of, who
a
are quite
fanboy
clear
for a
that it should
pretty
not be
long
used to create
time.
these kind of estimates. As
I
far as
I
I can
thought,
tell, that is the entire basis
yeah,
for his
you know what,
claim that
this
Twitter's
this is
activity
hard to
is on October 4th.
oops, this is hard to admit. Um, not like a fanboy, like, oh God, I'm worshiping him as a billionaire, but I thought he was one of the good billionaires because the electric car thing and yada yada, but I didn't know he was like blocking high speed rail or interfering with high speed rail getting built in California. He lied about his gigafactories being like fully self sustainable and fully solar. Um, he didn't come through with like his solar roofs. Just a lot of stuff that he said turned out to be not just lies, but like the electric car thing, it's not even the best solution that we have. And he sort of forced us down that path. And now it doesn't even look like we're gonna have like the automated cars like we thought we were gonna have and all this stuff. So yeah. But I will still give him SpaceX, although I don't give him props for really anything other than like marketing it because it was funded mostly by the government. Most of his companies were propped up by the government. But we do need reusable rockets, so he did sort of push that research forward and got the first reusable rockets going. I'll still give him that much, but again, people think he like actually designed these things or he actually was fundamental to the building of these businesses. None of that is true. None of it's true. He's kind of like the Thomas Edison that got like way too much credit when he would just go around and steal other people's inventions, including like the actual Tesla, who is behind our alternating current, right? That runs type of electricity that runs in all our houses. So it's pretty cool, pretty cool. Anyways,
As far as I can tell, that is the entire basis for his claim that Twitter's activity is most likely 20% or more generated by bots or spam. On May 26th, Twitter shareholders brought forth a class action lawsuit against Musk, claiming that he had deliberately manipulated the company's stock prices. CNBC reports that during this period between Musk's acquisition bid and this lawsuit being launched, Twitter stock had dropped 12%. Note also that Tesla stock, which most of Elon Musk's personal fortune
these were some of the first signs, though, that I started seeing that was telling me Trump is a scum, or Trump, Trump too, obviously. These guys, all these narcissists, I get them mixed up. But one of the first big red flags I saw with Musk is that he loves stock manipulation. He was doing it with Tesla all the time. I think that's why he had to like step down as CEO originally. But then also with the Dogecoin thing too, then he's basically involved in a pump and dump scam. I don't know that it's considered fraud because it's crypto, but it's definitely really sketchy behavior where he's obviously buying it, pumping it, and then dumping it here.
Is tied up in had dropped more than 40%. Some of that was due to just a general dip in the market, but a lot of it was because he was acting like such a dipshit. The lawsuit alleged that Musk had broken several laws, including that, quote, Musk had financially benefited by delaying required disclosures about his stake in Twitter, and by temporarily concealing his plan in early April to become a board member at the social network. Musk also snapped up shares in Twitter, the complaint says, while he knew insider information about the company based on private conversations with board members and executives, including former CEO Jack Dorsey, a longtime friend of Musk's. The proposed lawsuit also contends that Musk broke California laws by sowing doubt about whether he would complete the deal after signing the contract to buy it. The shareholders' complaint added that his gripes about bots were part of a scheme to negotiate a better price or kill the deal. Musk proceeded to make statements, send tweets, and engage in conduct designed to create doubt about the deal and drive Twitter stock down substantially in order to create leverage that Musk hoped to use to either back out of the purchase or to renegotiate the price. So essentially, they're arguing that Elon is deliberately sowing misinformation about the company in order to drive down its stock prices so that he can get a better price when he goes to buy the site, which wouldn't be all that surprising given that Elon has used Twitter specifically to deliberately deflate stock prices in the past. It also seems like they're insinuating some insider trading here, which is very funny to me because it implies this ruinous business deal
even if he could knock
was made
off
with an unfair advantage on Elon Musk's part. They're saying he not only had insider knowledge that he shouldn't have had, but also acted illegally and unethically to defraud the company of money. And given all of these things, this is the result, this incredibly disastrous thing for him. Just a powerful business mind. On July 8th, Elon announced that he was terminating the deal, claiming that Twitter had not agreed to his request to share information about user data and had fired top executives in breach of a provision in their agreement. Twitter's chairman, Brett Taylor, responded that Twitter intended to enforce the deal at the agreed-upon price. On July 12th, they did that, and they sued Elon to force him to complete the purchase. On July 19th, Judge Chancellor Kathleen St. Jude McCormick, granted Twitter's request for an expedited trial. Musk's team had argued for a delayed trial, which, if the complaint is that they're trying to drive down the stock prices, does seem like it would be in line with that, because the longer the trial goes, the more chaos there's going to be, the lower the stock price goes. AP News reports, Twitter argues that Musk's reasons for backing out are just a cover for buyer's remorse after agreeing to pay 38% above Twitter's stock price shortly before the stock market stumbled, and shares of the electric car maker Tesla, where most of Musk's personal wealth resides, lost more than $100 billion of their value. Just a powerful business mind. After months of back and forth subpoenas, on October 4th, Musk agreed to buy the site at the agreed upon price. Twitter didn't have to agree to shit. So if these allegations are true, that he was attempting to sabotage Twitter's stock prices, and given that he folded like a paper airplane in court, I'll leave that up to you to decide, what he has done here is agree to buy something for much more than it's worth, panic, illegally manipulate its value to negotiate for a better deal, only to be forced to buy the product he has made less valuable in the process. Which, allegedly, would make him a profoundly bad businessman.
Epic fail.
On October 26th, Elon posted a frankly epic video on Twitter saying, "Entering Twitter HQ, let that sink in." And he was holding a sink. He's so fucking funny is the thing. He later said, meeting a lot of cool people at Twitter. Just met a lot of cool people that he likes, and I bet will treat very well. We in the biz call that foreshadowing. And finally, on October 28th, Musk closes the deal to buy Twitter. So everything we have seen so far, all of the ways he has already fucked this up, happened before he owned the goddamn website. Buckle up now, because from this point forward,
it's like going to buy a car, bringing a sledgehammer with you. You're offering to pay 10 grand for a car that's worth 5 grand. You bring 10 grand and a sledgehammer, and you just destroy it. Just beat the shit out of it, bash every window, slash every tire, bang every rim so it's bent. Just cut off the catalytic converter and give it to some tweaker walking by. Just absolutely destroy it, and then still hand that person $10,000 for that $5,000 car that is probably worth about 500 in scrap metal now. Probably 250 to the scrap yard. That's what he did.
Of the purchase, use of the N-word on Twitter shot up 500%. In fairness, a follow-up report actually found that Twitter's response to this was better than it had been in the past, a damning indictment of Twitter's uneven history of dealing with these types of hate raids. So I guess you could say what Elon's Twitter is doing is actually censoring hate speech more aggressively. Pretty strange for a self-identified free speech absolutist. It's almost like Twitter's content moderation was never actually ideologically motivated, but rather the inescapable result of trying to run a social media platform for a profit. Wonder if that'll be relevant at all. A number of high-profile advertisers immediately pull ads from Twitter, including GM, Pfizer, and Mondelez. In a roundabout kind of way, I suppose, he has reduced Twitter's dependency on advertisers. He just hasn't replaced it with a new source of revenue at all. On October 29th, word gets out that Elon's new plan to get some revenue for Twitter is to bump up the price of Twitter Blue to $20 a month from $4.99 a month, and include blue tick verification with the subscription. The blue tick is meant to signify that the person holding it is a notable public figure. Having it means they've been verified to be who they claim to be. It's meant to allow people like celebrities and politicians or brands to post on Twitter without the fear that they'll be impersonated and defamed. So the first question on everyone's mind is, well, how do you prevent people from being impersonated and defamed? Musk is cagey about the details, instead choosing to focus on how this will somehow act as some sort of power balancing effect, and how it will democratize journalism and empower people. Thing. On November 4th, Twitter laid off roughly half of the very cool people that Elon had met when he visited Twitter. As a result, several employees file a class action lawsuit accusing Twitter of violating federal labor law for not giving them the required 60 days notice. Musk disputes this, claiming the employees were given 3 months of severance in lieu of notice, and that Twitter had to lay people off because it was hemorrhaging $4 million a day, a thing nobody made him admit. He placed the blame squarely on advertisers fleeing the site en masse due to fears about changes to Twitter's content moderation policy, and it should be noted that among the thousands of people laid off were most of, if not the entire.
And this idea that you can just like look at a few lines of code from somebody and be like, and know how good they are.
The tools to moderate 250 million people. Also, the entire team responsible for verifying users, something that advertisers are becoming increasingly concerned about. He then threatened to name and shame advertisers who have pulled out of Twitter so that they'd get in trouble with his conservative fan base. And that ought to convince people to do more business with you in the future. On November 6th, several employees who were laid off 2 days prior are asked to come back and told that their firing was an error and rehired. Boy, what a happy ending after all.